I've got a lot of ground to cover in this lecture. We're going to talk about themes, but there's a lot to know and a lot to consider when choosing your WordPress theme. As you've seen in the previous lecture, you can download a lot of different options that are free. I found, however, that you'll have better support and typically better experience with more premium themes. And by premium, I do mean you do have to pay for them. So I don't expect you to have to buy anything for this course, but I do want to show you exactly what I use in my workflow that I actually build real projects for real clients with. So if this is something you ever want to do more than just as a hobby or for more than just your own personal website, here are some things to consider. First, I usually shop for my themes on themeforest.net. I've tried a lot of different themes, I've tried a lot of different marketplaces, but the ones that I'm using currently have all come from here. So if you go to themeforest.net, you've got this tab here for WordPress, and if you click on popular items, this page is constantly updated and typically sorts by what is the most popular and best-selling WordPress theme for the week. So you can see right now, number one is Avada. This has hung out at number one for a long time, for years probably. There's the X theme, and then down here is Salient. These are the three that I've used and have extensive experience with. And I just want to point out that just because I use them doesn't mean they're going to be right for you. They're just ones that I've used a lot. And because I use them a lot, I'm quick with them. I know where the developers have put all their settings. Remember how I mentioned that not everybody uses the same type of settings and things can kind of get buried. So I try to find the same themes for most of my websites because it speeds up my workflow, because I don't have to try and guess how to make changes. So feel free to take a look. There's a lot of great themes that are up and coming. What I'm going to do real quick is hold down my command key on a PC. Again, you could hold down the control key, and I'm just going to click on these three themes, Avada, X, and on Salient, just so we can take a look at these options. You'll notice right away the price point at $60. There's pros and cons. You could think of this as like, oh my goodness, $60. Why would I spend $60? Or you could think about if you or I had to try and develop everything this theme does from scratch, you'd probably have to spend a couple $100,000, maybe 20 grand. I don't know, a couple hundred might be a little steep, but it would be a lot of money just to try and develop all of the functionality that these things pack. So we've got the Avada theme, and if you want to see what it looks like, we can click on this live preview button. It'll open up a new browser window, and you can scroll through and check out some of the different settings. You can check out all the different layouts it has. And the one thing you'll notice right away when you get into these more robust premium themes, they're almost overkill. There's a lot of code. The sites can be slower with the animation, and they've tried to account for everything under the sun that you might want to use. So because of that, the themes tend to be more bloated. So that's something to consider if you're trying to build a lean website that loads fast, or if you're trying to have something that has all kinds of options for you right out of the gate. So I'm going to jump over into the X theme, and I will click live preview. Now, one thing I want to say about the developers of the X theme, I actually went to a conference in Las Vegas and met the people behind this theme, and they're great people. I love getting to work with them, and I love supporting a company when I believe in what they're doing. So these guys are great. They've got really good customer service, and that's again something you're not going to find with a free theme. So if you have a question or you get stumped, there is a member marketplace where you can ask questions, and for the most part, somebody's probably already asked the same question, and you can find solutions in the forum. So that being said, one of my two favorite things about the X theme is this cornerstone page builder. So a page builder is something where you can literally drag and drop the elements on a page. So instead of trying to code it, you can actually look at the page and drag and drop and move things around. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. But this is a huge plus for this theme, as well as demos. So you can click down here on the demos, and they have a ton of samples for this theme. What's even cooler is once we get this loaded, you can have it automatically install a fully functioning working demo. And so your website can be built insanely fast. So we'll come back and look at some of these in a little bit, but some of these demos, for example, if I wanted to build a gym website, I can click on demo. And this is a sample website that they've built. And when you're inside of WordPress with your site, you have the theme installed, you can click install, and it'll basically replicate this exact website on your server. So then from there, you could add your own images, add your own text, and you'd be a long ways down the road in having a beautiful website. The next thing I want to show you is Salient. We'll click on Live Preview. I really like this theme. I think it's really slick. It looks good. It's got some great animation elements, and it's actually what I use on my personal website. So if I go to mitchellsgarage.net, this was the website that we used for our agency, and it's pretty basic. I mean, not a lot going on, but I really enjoyed working with this one because it was simple to use. I liked how slick it was, and it was just pretty, basically. I mean, as a graphic designer, I like to choose things that look good. So that's how I ended up with Salient. Now, one thing I want to point out is with Salient, it comes with another type of page layout tool called Visual Composer. It's not quite as, I wouldn't say user-friendly, but with Cornerstone, with X, you can literally see exactly what you're working on. With Visual Composer, it's not quite as intuitive, but I do like the style of it. So to help give you a better understand of what a page layout plugin does, let me show you this. I recently saw a commercial for Divi. This is another theme, and I don't have any experience with it yet, but this looks incredible, and I want to show you some things here. First, let me play this video so you can learn a little bit more about it.
Building a website is kind of like painting a masterpiece, except it's nothing like painting a masterpiece. See, when you paint something, you can actually see what you're doing. So when you draw a little house, look, there's a little house. But when you're building a website in WordPress, you're working on the back end with an interface that's built for content creation, not design. Plus, you have no idea how anything will actually look on the site. Hard to create a masterpiece that way.
Masterpiece? Puh.
Now there's Divi. With Divi, you can create your WordPress website on the actual website in real time. So if you want to add a widget or text, go ahead, add it. Everything is drag and drop and totally customizable by shape, size, font, color, and with over 40 different content elements, there's nothing you can't add. So now, building a website really is like painting a masterpiece, only a whole lot easier. Divi. The fastest, easiest way to build beautiful websites.
All right, so it looks like Divi is definitely a contender for something that would help speed up our workflow, and especially for those of you who have no coding experience. So if you're interested in playing around with it a little bit more, you can click Try It for free. And when you do that, it's going to open up a demo page where you can literally kick the tires and see exactly how it works. So as you hover over different elements, you have different options for how to resize things. I can click and drag. It's really easy. I can click right in here and put in my name or whatever I want to do to update and see how this is going to work for me. So this is an awesome platform. I'm really impressed by it. But again, I don't have any experience with this in the real world working for a client to know if it's going to meet all of my needs. But again, looking at it, it seems like it's going to be awesome. I can add background fills really easy. Click on any color I want, hit OK, and just like that, the background section has changed. So definitely worth kicking the tires. Now, the downside to this, I don't know where you're at money-wise, but they charge $89 per year. So that's more than $60, and it's obviously more than free. But I think you do get a huge value. One thing I want to point out, for $90 basically, you can have access to all of Elegant themes. You get access to all of their plugins, as well as theme updates. So as the code changes or security patches come through, you'll get access to all of that, as well as premium support. I sound like I'm a salesman for them. Honestly, I don't know them. I don't know, I don't have any firsthand experience to know this. I'm not getting paid to tell you this. I'm just looking at what this could potentially do for you. And one thing I want to point out too is the reason why I'm even considering this is because I think it's really important to take a step back as a developer or a designer and continue to learn and educate yourself on the latest technologies. The trends will change, and I'll bet you in a year I would recommend something different than Divi. But the point is always kind of learn and try and figure out what's going to be a good fit for your workflow. So again, For $90, let's say I use this theme twice, I would have had to spend $120 if I used the X theme, because you have to buy a license for each URL that uses the theme. So as soon as you have 2 sites, well, there's basically $120 here. Whereas with Divi, I could buy the theme or the subscription for 1 year, and I could use this on 100 websites and only spend $90. So it is a great deal. Now, if you decide that you don't want to renew, you can keep all of the themes installed and active on all of your old sites. They just will no longer get premium support, and they won't get any updated patches as those come out. So honestly, I think it's a great deal. And if you can afford it, then it would definitely be worth considering and checking that out. Now, the other thing I want to point out with X, and even with Avada, and I think with Salient, I do know that X seems to have the most extensions. Anyway, you can get extensions. So an extension, just think of it as like a plugin that's bundled with the software, with the theme. So for example, like this Cornerstone extension, the Convert plug, what this does is it has a little pop-up box for an opt-in form. You can do the content doc, which does something similar. You can do galleries and grids and add Google Analytics and the slider evolution and a lot of different things that come with the theme. So it is a great value. Now, the slider evolution, let me talk about that real quick. One thing I want to point out, as you're looking at what theme to choose, consider the fact that it's basically a foundation for your graphics and your text. So this slider evolution is basically a huge image gallery or image slider that could go on your homepage. So here is an example. This whole big canvas here is slider evolution. So imagine if I use the X theme or Salient or Divi or anything else, really all I'm seeing right now on the homepage when I get here is just the navigation. The rest of this whole thing is slider evolution. So I've got these animated clouds, these layered mountains, and the text, as well as a button sitting on top. So that's something to consider. Now I'm getting into the actual theme file and the style and the layout. So keep in mind that just because you like the way something looks, let's jump over here into Divi again. Let's say I'm scrolling through this site and you might like everything, but when I get to this section here, let's say, oh man, I really love that. If we break it down and look at it, honestly, all these are, if I drag and drop this image over here, it's just an image. So as I look through these different images that came from this website, it's a beautiful image. There's another beautiful image. So let's say I took these 3 pictures and put them on any other platform. All of a sudden, it's going to look exactly the same. So as you pick your theme, kind of think about what goes in the back end of it, what kind of extensions you get, and maybe what the navigation looks like by default so you don't have to do a lot of styling with it. So jumping back over here to the slider evolution, here's another sample. Again, this one takes up pretty much the full screen when you get there. And there's a whole lot of other usage examples you can see. So this video is getting pretty long and I don't mean to overwhelm you, but I guess what I'm trying to show you is that there are a lot of things you can use. And moving forward, perhaps Divi is a good fit for you. I'm going to be working with the X and Salient themes just because I have a lot of samples to show you, and we'll be able to get up and running. And then from there, I'll be able to show you the differences so you can pick what works for you.